The best theme parks out there are the ones that combine theming and thrills perfectly. That is why, as of this recording, Knott's Berry Farm is my favorite theme park. You have some awesome roller coasters like Ghost Rider, Accelerator, Hang Time, and Silver Bullet. That being said, this park also does a great job with their non-coaster attractions. Their dark rides are great. These rides really boost the overall lineup of the park, and in general, I think I prefer roller coasters, but the best dark ride is better than the best coaster. All that to say, having a dark ride in your park's lineup is important, but a lot of theme parks / amusement parks don't have dark rides. So I thought we should take a look at some of these parks that need a dark ride the most. Though I should note that I'm only going to include parks that could realistically add a dark ride. So you're not going to see a park like Gilroy Gardens on this list because there's just no way that they're going to add a dark ride anytime soon. Let's start with Six Flags Discovery Kingdom in Vallejo, California. I do enjoy my time at this park, and they have some great roller coasters like Joker, the RMC, Medusa, Superman, and others. This park does have some gaps in their lineup though. For example, they don't have a log flume and they don't have a drop tower. But I think one of the more glaring needs is the lack of a dark ride. Now, don't get me wrong, I completely understand that Six Flags is not exactly the best chain when it comes to theming. Outside of Six Flags Fiesta Texas, it's pretty rare. That being said, at some of their other parks, they have Justice League Battle for Metropolis. I think even if Six Flags just added this dark ride clone, it would be a great addition, because even though they have the same ride at Magic Mountain, there really isn't anything like this in Northern California. Of course, the park's main competitor, for now, is California's Great America, and for their credit, they do have a flight simulator ride, the Mass Effect, which is actually a very fun ride. They also have a drop tower, but that's besides the point. Overall, I think Six Flags Discovery Kingdom would benefit greatly from adding any type of dark ride, but even the Battle for Metropolis ride would not be a bad addition. Real quick, I'll mention one more Six Flags park, Six Flags America. This park does not get a whole lot of new investment, so I'd be surprised to see them receive any type of dark ride anyway, but they could use it. They have a decent collection of roller coasters, headlined by Superman Ride of Steel. This ride is a little weird because it's a clone from Darien Lake, and the straight sections make more sense once you see the fact that it goes over water at the Darien Lake location, but it's a pretty solid standout coaster for the park. But this park, outside of the animals, is just like Discovery Kingdom as far as attractions go. You got your roller coasters, you got your flat rides, but you don't have the main piece, that dark ride. I'm not hopeful that this is going to happen, but hey, it would be cool. Now let's talk about the SeaWorld chain. Real quick, I think Busch Gardens Williamsburg is exempt from this need a dark ride category because they have Escape from Pompeii, which has good theming. That's more than a lot of the other SeaWorld parks can say. Let's start with SeaWorld Orlando. This park has one of the better coasters in the chain, the B&M Hypercoaster Mako. This ride has lots of airtime, and the entire experience is running next to or on the water. I can't wait to get on this one day. Now, the one thing that SeaWorld Orlando does have going for them is that they have the best themed Journey to Atlantis coaster. This ride actually looks pretty immersive, so that's the one saving grace when it comes to SeaWorld Orlando. Now, do they need a dark ride still? Absolutely. Now, referencing Journey to Atlantis once again, when you look at the location at SeaWorld San Antonio, that ride does not have the same level of theming. If we're gonna be honest, it's basically a shoot-the-chutes attraction that counts as a roller coaster. My point being for SeaWorld San Antonio is that they don't even have this ride to look to when it comes to well-themed attractions. Arguably the best ride at SeaWorld San Antonio is Texas Stingray, which looks like a pretty solid wooden coaster. I think this was a great addition to the park a couple of years ago. They also have Steel Eel, which is kind of a weird ride, but a lot of enthusiasts like it for its out-of-control airtime. And while Wavebreaker the Rescue Coaster has a little bit of a pre-show, it's certainly no dark ride. Then take a look at SeaWorld San Diego. Some of their headlining coasters include Emperor, Manta, and Electric Eel. While Manta has a little bit of theming before its launch, there's once again no dark ride. What about Busch Gardens Tampa, a park that has some theming, but once again, no dark ride? It's a shame too, because I think you could really do some cool stuff at this African-themed park. So I think you see my point here with SeaWorld. This is not a one-off thing, this is a chain-wide issue. The fact that even though oftentimes they use the same dark ride, Six Flags has more dark rides than SeaWorld is a little puzzling when you think about it. Six Flags is often viewed as the discount chain, even though Celine Basul is trying to fix this as fast as possible. With that, SeaWorld is typically regarded as a higher and better chain, and I think I would agree with that statement as well. I haven't been to any SeaWorld parks yet, but from everything I've seen, they are higher quality. So it's just interesting that they haven't invested into dark rides. Come to think of it though, it really isn't too surprising when you look at how much theming is on their new roller coasters. Take for instance Pantheon at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, a ride that opened just last year and could have had some really neat theming, but instead had almost none. With that, it's going to be very interesting to see how much theming Dark Coaster has in the same park, which has yet to open. From the animations, it looks like there could be some cool stuff in that building, but how much will translate to real life? In recent years, SeaWorld has been extremely ambitious when it comes to adding roller coasters. They've been adding them left and right. Have they been immersive? No. Have they overall been solid rides? Sure. But I just think SeaWorld needs to focus on the theming aspect a little bit more moving forward. Let's move on now to a couple more parks that could really use a dark ride. How about the first park from Cedar Fair in this video, Canada's Wonderland? This park has a lot of roller coasters, and while a lot of them are said to be not very good, there's also a lot of flat rides here. This is just a huge park, the biggest in Canada. The best attraction in the park, and arguably the best attraction in all of Canada, is Leviathan, the B&M Giga Coaster, the first B&M Giga Coaster, might I add. This coaster is gigantic, and while some people take issue with its somewhat short ride time, you have to admit that that is just an impressive coaster. And it's one of many in the park, but with so many big roller coasters, some good, some not so good, I think a dark ride would be a great addition. And since there aren't very many dark rides in Canada, in fact I can't even think of one off the top of my head, it would stand out even more. And finally, one independent park in Fall, Idaho, Silverwood Theme Park. This is a place I really want to get to in the near future. Some of the headlining coasters include Tremors, Timber Terror, but the big two I think are Aftershock, the Vekoma Giant Inverted Boomerang, and Stunt Pilot, the RMC Raptor. For an independent park, Silverwood has a very good coaster collection. A dark ride would be a great addition to Silverwood, no doubt, but then I also look at the Pacific Northwest and see that there's almost no dark rides in the area, which would make it even better. Silverwood has a great opportunity to stand out above the rest, but those are just some parks I think that could use a dark ride. Let me know what some other parks are in the comment section below, and maybe I'll make a part 2.